There's no opening. Do we test it? How do we test it? So
Go ahead and get most of the
Done.
You got the point there on.
Got some done.
that's-
Sunday, huh?
You're running good down there.
Pretty good.
Yes, it was really.
Mark, can you hear us?
Really good up there on there.
Yes, I can.
Mine said never mind. It's probably in prison.
Okay, we're here, the Grant County Board is here to conduct a 30-minute work session regarding job description development with DDA. The purpose of the work session is for the board to hear from DDA on how job descriptions are developed and written. The session is not to discuss wages, it is only regarding job descriptions. DDA will have the opportunity to provide the information. The board will have the opportunity to ask DDA some questions. After that discussion, if time allows, there will be opportunity for others to ask questions. That's what we got.
All right, so yeah, there's been some discussion on the development, so we thought personnel committee believe that it'd be important for Mark to be here to explain the development of that. So I will pass it on to you, Mark.
All right, thank you, Ashley. Good morning, everyone. My name is Mark Goldberg, here representing David Drown and Associates. So to discuss the job descriptions and the process behind them, what we do is we gather information from position analysis questionnaires, which employees fill out, and then we take that information from that position analysis questionnaire and use it to create job descriptions. When we do that, the essential duties that are listed there, which is one of the key parts we're talking about here, we say list 10 essential duties. My old boss, Dr. Jim Fox from the old Fox Lawson, would always say 5. He didn't want any more than 5. I've expanded that to 10 because I think that's kind of a better round number. But the idea is not that you list every single task that is performed by the job, but you hit here are the major types of duties that are encompassed within it. And you kind of say, here's the general categories of things that are being done. Normally things that take more than 5% of the time on an annual basis, not things that are 1 or 2% or something that you do every other year, unless that is really, really critical to your role, in which case, okay, yeah, absolutely put that in. The goal is to get the absolutely critical pieces of the job, but not to list everything that everyone does. The general trend in job descriptions is 2, maybe 3 pages, but you don't list 35, 40 different essential duties. And that I can pull up some of the job descriptions that were included within this if you want, but that's really what we're looking at here. I put in a lot more, especially for the sheriff's office. I went much more expansive, but I do not think it is a good idea to list every single task that is listed there. I don't think that really accomplishes anything. It certainly won't add points or add anything to the grading of the jobs, and it will make it challenging. I mean, then you have people that can say, well, this isn't listed in my job description, so I don't want to do this. And it becomes a little challenging to manage it. When tasks are listed there, if those tasks change, then you have to redo your job description. It is better to provide general categories of the types of work that's being done rather than all the tasks. What do you guys think of that?
So if I'm hearing you right, as we generalize what the tasks are, we don't list them specifically because they may change from time to time. We don't have to go and redo the job descriptions.
You got it. And almost no one lists, other than the state, which is crazy with how they do it, nobody lists all the tasks. It's simply not something that's done because for those reasons, and for people saying, well, it's not in my job description, so I'm not going to be doing it.
So what are your thoughts? And I realize this is your job description, but adding a job task list that isn't necessarily a job description, but it lays out those tasks. Do you have an opinion on that?
I don't see that hardly at all. I have had position job descriptions that are right where there are specific things that are unique to a particular functional area. Here's an example: administrative assistants. You can have a general administrative assistant job description, and then you might have, here's some of the things that are done specifically for the sheriff's office, for public for the public works office, and things where you have a general category, and admin assistant is a great example of that. But not, here are all the tasks that are assigned for each job, because then it gets really, really cumbersome. What I have seen a lot of is when you're posting for a job, if you need to fill a public safety telecommunicator supervisor or deputy sheriff or things like that, then you can list the tasks potentially within the job posting, but not in the job description. That is the general trend that people have been doing across the state.
But as we move forward, you know, a task and a job is basically one and the same. All right, and as we have new laws that come down from the state, those duties probably in the sheriff's office changes. So then those tasks become part of that job description. Because there's laws that come on the books steadily that they have to address. That, and you know, as it's not listed, you know, then they have to still do it. Well, then it should entail into the job description. So then that is the true form of their duties.
Again, you as a county can do what you want with this, but I will tell you that that is not necessarily what I'm seeing. That is not necessarily accurate. If you have a general description of the types of work that are being done, and yes, you're correct, laws are changing, and the types of tasks that are being asked to be performed in the sheriff's office or other areas do change. But if you have a general description of the types of work that's being done, it is incorporated within that and not spelled out specifically. Here's the specific task that needs to be done to accomplish this particular overall duty. But you guys can do what you want with this. This has to be a job description that you as a county feel comfortable. But I'm telling you, nobody else is doing that. And no other county that I'm working with is doing that.
Well, let me ask a question when we talk about having specific heavy equipment operators. Does it say they're required to grease equipment?
Nope.
Equipment. It doesn't say you have to grease it. Does it say you have to fuel them?
Yeah. That's part of the maintenance. That's part of maintenance.
I guess.
But how do we know if it doesn't say specifically you have to
I
grease
think
it?
the words task should be stricken and it should be duty.
And if it's duty, then that is a broader category than task. There's general duties that are performed for a job. And again, as I said, you want to have B5, you want to have B10, you know, here's the essential pieces within it. And then you include a line within there saying, or other, how exactly do I say it, or performs related work as required. That covers you.
Go ahead.
So I think that my biggest issue with this is there are very essential duties that are not on here. I mean, we've completely stricken records clerk completely. I was hired 15 years ago as a dispatcher records clerk. That has been our job since the very beginning.
Our dispatchers are dispatchers and records clerk. And their job description is stricken records clerk out of it. And that's what we're trying to get.
And the
back in.
essential duties, it's completely out. Well,
So-
who's doing it then? I mean,
It's not a task, it's a duty, correct?
yeah, if they don't do it, someone's got to.
Correct.
Is records clerk covered in this job description?
I would have to pull up the specific one, but hold on one second, please. Again, I would have, that isn't one of the ones that I had opened up here. So let me look at the dispatcher records clerk that I had done for the county. That wasn't one of the ones that was attached. Bear with me for 1 second, please, while I go to that.
Dispatcher records clerk, though, I thought we changed it to a name that's like fit
Yeah,
along.
Well, the public safety telecommunicators is what you're supposed to be going to. I know, but it's
If
because.
it was dispatcher
dispatchers are
records
getting
clerk,
thrown
It would be
into-
right in the title.
Everything.
And it is on the ones we've corrected. Is public
Hold on,
safety.
please. Here's what I have. Here's what I have for this. Public safety dispatch records clerk administrative assistant. Is that the one you're referring to? Oops. Hold on a
No.
second. Share. No, that's not the right one.
No, that is duties.
That's not this one,
No,
because that does have records in it. Okay, then I'll go to 911, which is the one we're talking about with this. I guess I'm not sure which one you're specifically referring to, because I have public safety, telecom, records clerk, administrative assistant.
it's the other public safety telecommunicator. It's supposed to have records clerk as well. That's what it's
I've
always
got the
been.
911 coordinator.
It would have been in that email, Mark.
If it's in the email, then hold on one second, because I opened up every single one that you had sent me. Dispatcher 911, this one. Okay, got it.
Yep.
We are just wanting records clerk put back in because without a records clerk, we would have to hire a specific job duty or a specific position just for records clerk if you're gonna exit off of our dispatch.
Records management, is that?
So this is what you want put in here.
And if we can, well,
I mean, we can slim it down, but what I'm saying is this is essential duties of a records clerk. And it's all been taken off. And it's important. It's very important. I mean, they do that, if there's not calls going on, that's what they're doing as records clerk.
and we can, you know, organize it better just for a couple line items, but we have to get records clerk position in on, they are essentially doing two jobs. Like,
Well, and again, I know this is what you had sent me, and I understand that. This is the job description that I have that I created, and it does have a lot of this stuff within here. So this is where I'm getting a little confused around this, because this is the job title that I had for public safety telecommunicator records clerk administrative assistant. And you can see very clearly there's records in here as far as records clerk, as far as a lot of the stuff that's being done.
Sir, that's a different position.
That is a different position. Okay.
all of our non-licensed employees are all records clerk. So we were just trying to make it uniform that records clerk was on dispatch, records clerk was on Brenda's position, records clerk is on the LSA, and records clerk is on Tina's. So, because there's 4 positions that all make up this. They all do that. Without that, we're gonna have to hire someone to do just that.
Otherwise, we'd have just a records clerk position. I mean, if we're not all splitting the work up, someone's gotta be doing it, right?
And the job description absolutely has to reflect what you guys need. And that's what I want to happen. And if it's not, then okay, then let's adjust it. But let's not have 40, 50 different essential duties there. Let's try to streamline things and have it be the real clear, here's what the job is doing, and this accurately reflects the work without listing an expansive list. Does that sound fair?
It does, but every time we received it back, we haven't received anything about records clerk in the job description for public safety committee.
So, Mr. Chair, what's the fix to this? And just put records clerk on these job descriptions?
And
That's
do
it.
some of their essential duties. I mean, yeah, we can slim it down. We just listed like, okay, we want you to know this is why this is crucial.
Okay.
And
Well, you know, I've seen over the years, the dispatchers always were working with records and typing reports and stuff, and I don't see that changing, and we certainly don't wanna hire another person here.
Nope.
But if it's just a quick fix, the records clerk on these, job descriptions, then why don't we just on there?
Commissioner, I think that's a great idea. I think what can happen is the sheriff's office will send me, hey, here's a list of other things we need put in here, 4 or 5 different essential duties. Throw it right in and change, the title gets changed a little bit. We're all good. I think this can be pretty easy. Ashley, do you have any concerns?
Grant County is unique that way. It's a small county, and I was a sheriff for 22 years. And the records people or the dispatchers, they needed to be doing records and typing up reports and things like that for us.
Yep.
So.
So good.
And if that needs to be in there, we get it in there. Simple as that.
I guess some guidance as to what you want them to provide. Is it something slimmer? than
Yes.
what's Had, like,
A little bit slimmer. Yes, that would be great. So again, the key essential duties that are not listed, they're not all the tasks, but some of the key essential duties. Does that help at all?
so give us some guidance if we slim it down and they provide a few different bullet points, will it be reevaluated or will there be no change?
No, I'll just copy and put it in. I'll read it, but it shouldn't be, redone. The job isn't being reevaluated, I don't believe. I thought we're changing the job description, not reevaluating the job.
But do you see a change in the grade or the points in anything by adding these job duties?
No, I don't. There's no change in the job in the grading based on this. The grade remains the same. This is not about changing the grade. This is about changing the job description. And the duties that I saw that were sent in would not change the grade of these jobs.
Okay.
I think it should be reevaluated.
So every time you guys add a job description to somebody else, it gets reevaluated. So he's got a dispatcher job here, and you're adding a records clerk, it should be reevaluated.
It's not, again, the job, the records clerk, the job would be reevaluated if the work was being done at a higher level or different level of work. What was added in here, what I saw from this would not be a different level of work. It is simply more tasks, but not at a higher level of work, not a different level. This is not, you're not changing things around, and you're really not adding that much more here. Even what you have here, this is not, I mean, I can share the screen with what you had sent me already. This is not stuff that would change the grade at all. None of it.
What I saw is a job description taken from Stevens County Dispatch, who is just dispatch. They don't do anything else.
All of this was in the position analysis questionnaire, which is what I reviewed. This is everything you had to put in there. I reviewed that job description, that position analysis questionnaire, and I used that to create the job description. Not everything was put into the job description because it was very expansive. So I do not need to reevaluate the job unless these were things that were not in the position analysis questionnaire, and I know they were. They just weren't brought over to the job description because you had a million different things in there.
It completely changed from what our previous job description was.
Well, we gotta take that to the next step, because now we got body cameras coming, so that's more record keeping and things like that, correct?
But that's more record keeping. That is not, you were doing record keeping in the job already. The job is not changed. I do not see anything here that would change the position analysis questionnaire that would change the grade from this. And what's more, the grade is being, it's paid appropriately compared to the market. So if this is what the goal is, to get more duties are not going to get you a higher grade. That's not the way it works. It's higher level duties, higher level decision making, higher level responsibility, higher level problem solving. That ain't this.
Well, I feel like the records clerk is a higher level, considering they have to do more schooling. They have more responsibilities that have to meet state and federal requirements than just a dispatcher. So I guess I completely disagree with you.
Okay, you can disagree with me.
board have anything else?
Anybody got anything else?
So. Dwight, you can maybe answer this. You get a deputy that comes in, does an investigation, all right, you know, the records people, you all talk about it, you all figure out what's gonna do and how it's all gonna shape before it even heads to the county attorney's office, correct? So how many eyes and how much, you know, duties? I'm glad you're putting in duties versus tasks, but how many eyes are on just one report as a whole moving forward to the county attorney?
Well, generally, it's the deputy. Dispatch is usually looking it over and then supervisor review. And, yeah, but everybody has got a crucial role as to get everything ready to get to Justin's office so that he has what he needs.
And that's not a higher level of
No, it-
scrutiny, chain of custody, anything like that? It absolutely carries every kernel of that statement.
In other counties, they have records clerk, they have like 4 different positions, I think
As
that.
we hand it out to you, if you see, I mean. Our dispatchers just go and do essentially what one or 2 admin staff do down in Stevens County. I mean, they have somebody that strictly does just record and they get everything ready and they do all of that. Our dispatchers do that, so we don't have to have more admin staff.
Right.
And
I
it just flows better. It flows better. Like if we get a warrant in the middle of the night. We have to have someone, admin is not gonna be working at night, so we have dispatch do this, you know.
That has to be able to do the job.
Correct.
And entering stolen property. and
Right.
All
Any
of that.
Any of that.
If there's a burglary on a Friday night and somebody gets away with guns and property. Our dispatchers are getting that entered in right now. So if the neighboring agency picks them up and runs this gun, they're gonna see it stolen out of Grant County.
Right.
Whereas other agencies, that could sit until Monday for admin to come in and do it. I mean, so there's lots of benefits for our dispatchers doing that. But it's just,
And this is the way it's always been.
I guess I'm confused because I thought we were just talking about the job description, not about compensation or grades. I thought that was actually discussed right at the start.
can you
But-
determine compensation or grade if you don't even have a correct job description? What do you?
I do have a correct job description
But you don't.
because I looked at the position analysis questionnaire. I did not bring everything over for the job description. I thought I made that clear. But even without that, the records clerk dispatcher is being paid at 1% below market on the minimum, right at market, 2% on the maximums. We have, I think, 4 or 5 matches for that job from your competitor counties. So it is being paid at the grade it is right now, right at market, like dead on. So I would really struggle with putting that higher based on the market information, based on the internal evaluation. You can challenge that all you want, but that's what the data shows. And I base my information off of data, not off of my personal feelings.
But the market value is off of dispatcher, just a dispatcher. We are
No,
not.
it was not just the dispatcher. We included some records in that.
Dispatcher records clerks that we could see?
No, I cannot share that with you. That was shared. I went over that with the design team and Ashley and everyone looked at that. But no, I'm not sharing that with anyone outside of that. That is proprietary information to DDA.
And you're measuring this off of smaller counties such as like this versus Stearns County or some of these bigger counties around the state?
Yeah, these are the counties that we use, sir. I'm going to show you right now. These are the counties we used. We did have Pope as a spotlight and Wilkin as a spotlight, but these are the counties we used. And I think I have to confirm it, but I believe 4 or 5 different matches for that records clerk dispatch job.
Pope and Wilkin County both have their individual records clerks.
Wilkin is a spotlight. Wilkin is not included within there. Wilkin and Pope are both not included in there. They're a spotlight. We pulled information for them for reference purposes, not to include within the analysis. Otter Tail and Douglas are spotlights as well. They're there for reference purposes, not for determination of the market.
Traverse County has their own records clerk.
Their dispatchers are dispatch jailers.
But in your opinion, Mark, all this information was in the PAQ and that was used to score.
Evaluate the job. Yep, everything was in the PAQ that, and I evaluated it based on that. I did not pull everything into the job description because there was just too much.
So by going and if we were to add everything from the PAQ, just list everything in the job description, it's not gonna change the grading of it.
No, it's just going to make it cumbersome and challenging for you guys, and would be against what pretty much every other county is doing. But you have to do what works for Grant County, not what everyone else is doing. I just need to tell you, here's what I see, here's what generally is being done, and here's what the market is for these jobs. Job descriptions are highly customizable. You can do however you want with them, as long as you include some of the key pieces that would be federally compliant. And you're doing that already. It's just a question of how many job duties you want in there, or how many tasks you want in there.
Anybody got anything else? No, we're gonna wrap this up because we got 3 minutes before our regular meeting starts.
All right. Thank you all so much. Have a good rest of your day.
I think that's it, Dennis. Who's doing it now? Who's doing it now?
Say something.
Record 19.
Hello? Hello?
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Can we just say, anyone online, can you please confirm the hearing?
Can anybody online hear me?
Yes, Doyle, I can.
Okay, thank you.
It's kind of quiet, so you might want to speak a little louder, but we can hear you.
Nobody's talking right now.
Yeah, I meant your voice is muffled.
I have it at 100, so you guys are just gonna have to talk really loud.
I have to. Or so you guys are ready to do so. Farmers gate path, whether it's a very, we're the customer. Right? Would you agree with that? Yeah.
Okay, it's 9 o'clock. We'll call the meeting to order and stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we got on the agenda, the PFM financial, they're not ready for today, so that'll be next week or our next meeting. Other than that, I think everything else is fine. Anybody wants to approve the agenda?
I would like to remove my statement from the agenda,
Okay,
and then with that removed, I will make a motion to approve the agenda.
we have a motion, we get a second.
Second.
Okay, I'll have a little discussion here now that we've got the second. What was the spirit and intent of the budget or the agenda item, Troy?
Make a statement.
And what
I'm
was,
not gonna make that statement.
and what was the spirit and the intent for that statement?
To make a statement.
See, Mr. Chair,
Yep. Go ahead.
so if it was removed from the agenda, intent is not to make a statement, should we not make the statement? I mean, Troy's saying he's not making a statement. Commissioner Valley, wouldn't that be adequate?
If it had something to do with the business of, you know, an issue that pertained to Grant County. But in my opinion, whatever that statement was, they should elaborate on that.
Mr. Chair,
Troy's not gonna elaborate, so.
well, it very likely could be within a committee. I think we need to move on and ask for the motion to be voted on.
Okay, approval of the agenda? All in favor?
I
Opposed?
Aye.
Carried. Okay, the minutes were sent out.
I'll make the motion to approve the minutes, Mr. Chair.
second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion over the minutes? If not, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. The warrants were sent out.
I'll make a motion to pay the bills.
Have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Motion second, pay the bills, any discussion on any bills? Not all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Ashley?
All right, so the first thing I have is just I missed it last time with getting the, with our discussion with account tech moving up to the treasurer's office and, I did not get the retro pay for Jamie, so I would be looking for a motion to, she started doing the work on September 4th. And then up until the last board meeting, so retro pay her for the work that she was doing for the account tech, which is $928.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Have a motion second, any discussion? All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
All right, the next thing I have is a retirement letter from Don Johansson. I do see if she's in the back. So on their retirement letter, she has that she will not be working in the DMV office as of June 1st, so sometime in May, I don't know.
Yeah. I haven't been my specific things that place.
So it nothing on or after June 1st, 2026. So just looking for a motion to approve the retirement.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chair. I'll second it, Mr. Chair.
Motion and a second,
That would read on or before the first?
It'd be, the retirement date would be before June 1st, 2026.
After, it says retirement indicated that Don will not work after June 1st, 2026. Right? So it says it.
Right, so nothing after June 1st.
Right.
Did I say that right?
Yeah,
Okay,
I won't be here on June 1st if that's what.
there you go.
any more discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
All right, and the next item, I don't know. I guess looking for guidance as to what it's from the DDA work session, if there needs to, I don't know if there needs to be a motion or anything on that.
Well, I guess, I mean, that's. We need to know, are we done with, I mean, we listened to Mark say that we can add. We can make it a 12-page job description, or we can follow. Their guidance, it's not gonna change the end of the day. I guess we need. Personnel committee needs guidance. Are we gonna follow the employment expert that we hired? Or are we gonna deviate from that? I can tell you deviating from that can invalidate the whole study, and now we've opened up. Everybody can come back and say, well, we need more, we need more, we need more. He told us that the PAQ essential job functions are in there. And if we deviate from that, we've opened it up, now every position can come back and appeal and just continually add job descriptions or job duties, tasks, what have you.
In my opinion, I don't think the whole process was thoroughly vetted. We needed to make sure that the employees, you know, are an integral part. To make sure that, you know, the retainage is there and you make sure that that person is duly paid for the duties and their job as a whole. So if there's some type of a, you know, consensus with the board here to at least revisit who's come to the board here, whether it be the sheriff's department and other duties, you know, that's our job to make sure that this process is thoroughly vetted, because it's probably not gonna happen for another, 5 years probably? If it does go through.
Mr. Chair,
Yep.
would we agree that the intent of the job descriptions in the past has been to be not X pages long and more specific, or not list everything what he was saying? And if it was, would the spirit of hiring this company to be to change that? I sense that it's not. So if we had job descriptions, I'm missing the word I'm looking for. Then if we hired a professional firm, why would we change the spirit of job description to expand?
Well, there's, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's more listed in this job description than the previous one.
But the intent was to even to go farther with that is that what I'm hearing you say, Bill?
The intent.
I have to believe it didn't go far enough. Every county is different. Everybody has different roles, everybody has different staffing. And if we have the ability to, you know, not so much renegotiate, it's just retool to make sure that all those duties, not tasks, are covered.
They were all in the PAQ. So the job description was developed directly from the PAQ.
I see a disagreement in the staff here. You got something to add, Pat?
I totally disagree with that, Troy. Cause what we filled out in them things, it came back completely different. And then you have to do an appeal process. It shouldn't be that way. We had perfectly good job description before this started.
It's a completely different company. We went out and asked for
Why do you wanna
RFPs.
reinvent the wheel?
We went out and got RFPs, right? This is a completely different company than the previous one. Previous company didn't even respond to the RFP. This is the company. Was there any other,
DDA was the only one.
this is who there is.
I just don't agree with the process, that's all. Pretty sure half the county doesn't either, so.
I don't know what else you do when you send out a request for proposals and this is who you get.
Do you have to take it?
You have to take. So when you sit down for negotiations and we want a wage study, we only got one, so we can't do it. So we want to make sure that we're compensating fairly.
So some of these things will take care of themselves. You know, we're meeting with LELS on Friday. And, you know, without their agreement, we can't implement the wage study because the grade and step schedule is a term and condition of employment. You know, so Doug Kenny, who represents LELS and the investigators and the deputies and the dispatch, he knows his stuff too, and LELS has summary reports because they represent all sorts of entities across the state. And, you know, if they have an issue with the grade, you know, that is the forum in which to discuss that. You know, if they have information that shows that we're paying out of class or we're a grade low, something of that nature, we'll have discussions about that. You know, but we just can't force this on, you know, our bargaining unit. You know, when we talk about implementation, but, you know, the first thing that they have to look at is, you know, are the grades for their respective positions where they think they ought to be. You know, we have a consultant, you know, and DDA is doing 90% of the, or more of the public classification and compensation studies. You know, if we didn't do something, then, you know, we just keep on marching on. We don't know where we're at in terms of market. You know, so there are some protection for the employees in there to get these items addressed.
Anybody got anything else? So what do you wanna do with this DDA?
Should we just see what LELS says on Friday? And if we gotta come back with more, we'll come back with more.
Right, if they have something, you know, we'll of course have discussions with Mark about pushback on duties, level of responsibility, things of that nature.
That is all I have.
It is a board agenda item, so are we tabling, Mr. Chair?
On that,
I will make that motion to table. For
Yeah.
the next meeting.
It's up to you. You did second?
I'll second it.
Well, any more discussion? All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Justin?
So I was asked to take a look at the Pine Ridge Park ordinance as well as the ATV park ordinance. Just a couple of preliminary observations. I don't know what's going on at Pine Ridge Park or the ATV park. And these were ordinances that were adopted by prior boards. So my analysis here is strictly legal. If the board thinks that something different ought to be done, that's a policy decision for the board and not for me. Actually, it turns out that they are fairly straightforward. When the Pine Ridge Park ordinance was adopted, it was established as a county park under Minnesota statute. The same wasn't true with the ATV park. It's nominated a park, but it's not considered, or at least the ordinance does not indicate that it is a county park under the ordinance. 3.4 of the Pine Ridge Park ordinances indicates that all Grant County parks are county game refuges, and no person shall take any wild animal except fish within any such refuge. The plain and ordinary meaning of that is Pine Ridge Park is not open to hunting. The only thing that can be taken are fish. The ordinance further indicates that the county is supposed to be, or the Pine Ridge Park is supposed to be posted as, quote, county game refuge, no hunting permitted, unquote. There is a provision in the ordinance that if the county board and DNR determine that any species of wild animals has attained an abundance, then by resolution, hunting or trapping of such species can be allowed. I did go back and look at a file, I think it was from 2013, when there was some discussion about turning Pine Ridge Park over to an organization in Herman. The county got that property from the DNR. You know, it's subject to certain restrictions. Some of them are fairly standard. Reservation of minerals, we need to keep the water at a certain level. There wasn't anything in there that prohibited hunting, so if there was a change that the board wanted to make, that could be done. So based on the ordinance, I think it's pretty clear that hunting in Pine Ridge Park is not permitted under your ordinance. The ATV park, hunting is allowed within the park, but only from November 1 through April 1. Any persons hunting shall comply So that language likewise is fairly clear that the ATV park is open to hunting. So,
And there was board resolution to allow hunting. Keith Swanson and I,
yeah, it was seconded by you.
yes.
Yep.
So the allowability is there.
Yep.
Now, do we have to return, you know, and call it a training grounds, or just to get the word park off of, you know, so don't, that ordinance don't overlap and.
Well, you know, it's not gonna go back to the DDA discussion, but it really doesn't matter what it's called.
Okay.
It has never been by ordinance deemed a county park under the statute.
Okay.
Can call it Grant County Fund Land. It doesn't matter what it's called.
Right.
The ordinance as it relates to county parks does not apply to the ATV park because it has never been designated by the board as a county park.
I got something, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
So Justin, the Pine Ridge Park, then you said by resolution
No, by ordinance.
or by, but, okay, but isn't there wasn't there something about a resolution there if the deer were, if there was too many deer in there and stuff, the board could?
So it says if the Grant County Board and Department of Natural Resources determine that any species of wild animals has attained an abundance in excess of capacity of such refuge to support it, or such wild animals are causing substantial damage to the refuge, the board by resolution may prescribe any reasonable regulation for the hunting or trapping of such species.
But you'd have to have somebody there, the DNR, say there's too many deer in there, or somebody has.
But the DNR and its grant to the county did not reserve those rights.
Okay.
And I would have some concern, you know, the difference between ordinances and resolutions are significant. I wouldn't want a resolution to say something that is different than the ordinance. So if the board wanted to do something different with Pine Ridge Park, I would suggest an amendment to the ordinance and not simply a resolution. There's nothing in the ordinance that would suggest that we need the blessing of the DNR to make revisions to it, so long as it is kept open for public purposes.
And even if we decided to change the ordinance some, that's a lengthy process and it wouldn't be done by deer hunting this year.
It could be done. It would be, so October,
You got a 30-day.
well, it's effective upon publication. There are some notice requirements.
Chair. So we've heard Justin's the terminology or the legal side is. Let's talk about the practical part. Whether it's to be changed or not. I mean, we heard from the gentleman last meeting. What's the ramifications of leaving it the way it is or not? I don't know enough about it to start the discussion, but I think we should have that discussion.
Well, my concern of any change would be that is a relatively small park. And starting January 1 of 2026, all of Minnesota will be a rifle zone for deer. That is a lot of velocity, unless this board were to change that. But that's a lot of velocity in that small area. If you look at a state park, you're not allowed to hunt within 200 yards of a campsite. Well, we have a mowed area, but I don't know that we have a defined campsite out there. So that, I'd be open to looking at archery hunting. But to say that, starting next year, we can use rifles in that small of an area, that's a concern to me. Unless we decide we're gonna close that to camping starting November 1st. I just have a bad feeling about allowing people to camp out there and then say we can be out there with rifles.
The archery thing would be a good thing.
Like I said, I have no problem if it's changing it to an archery. I'm just struggling with saying people can camp there and then have rifles.
I think that would be nice if, for this year, you'd start the process of opening for archery. And archery only, that would be an acceptable thing. I think that's a good compromise. That's really good.
And hold a hearing before we change anything, which we have to do anyway, but still a no. I mean, you gotta get some of the feedback from, your area and, the allowabilities there. These crossbows, they shoot quite a ways too,
Yeah.
so.
Not
I
like a
think
rifle.
that's a reasonable, I think that's a reasonable compromise. I don't do. I'm not a rifle guy, but I understand the concern with that.
So I guess as it stands, the ATV can be hunted and at least this year, the park can't be.
I would go along with that. I like Troy's idea of the archery though. I think we should probably work on that a little bit for next year. Make sure that maybe can happen. It's how municipalities control deer within their jurisdictions. They use archery. So I think that's a pretty good solution there.
So do you wanna make a motion or?
I'll make a motion that the ATV park, can be open for, hunting deer. And, that, Pine Ridge Park will be closed until we look into maybe possibly, having, archery in there.
Can we get a second?
I'll second it.
Any discussion?
So presently, the ATV park is open to hunting,
Yes,
After November 1.
just not deer hunting.
right,
It's
okay,
open
hunting,
to hunting.
pheasant hunting, whatever. Hunting.
Any more discussion? All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Justin, could you change that ordinance to get, I realize we'll have to go through the full process, but get that so that it would allow archery and then. Did anybody order sign? We talked about signs out there.
They're not working on that.
Cause that would have to be something, we'll have to address says we have to have signage every however many feet that say hunting isn't allowed. We'd either have to say archery or remove the whole thing about signage or.
How many times do you say we need, Matt?
Such signs shall be posted around the boundaries of the parks at intervals of not less than 400 feet. The sign shall be at least 12 inches in diameter with black letters upon a white background.
Do we have to have signage? Could we just remove that?
Yeah,
And it's just allowed to be, so there's none out there right now. There's none out there right now. Violation this whole time. Does the board
why don't you guys start following your own rules first?
The board okay with that? Removing the signs and,
I kinda, well, from a law enforcement background, people are gonna test you on that with no signage out there. They're gonna go in there and say, well, I didn't know. They're probably gonna get a warning or something, but, I think one sign at the entrance would be sufficient there.
well, we can still put, just cause the ordinance doesn't say we have to, we can still put signs up.
Okay. Okay.
We just won't have to do it every 400 feet all the way around.
I see what you're saying.
I think we need to identify
Yeah,
our position.
Yeah,
I'm fine with doing that, just removing the requirement to put them every 400 feet.
I see what you're saying then. Yeah.
Okay, let's move on. Fair board?
Handle it if you want.
Finishing my note.
You may need him, you might have to sit there.
Yeah, you wanna sit with me?
The,
Did we vote? We
We
voted.
voted, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did.
Voted. It was a quiet vote, that's a very,
Very, very
the
quiet.
grump was a phone.
Gentlemen. You got my
Start your
packet?
engines, eh?
Start your engines, let's do this thing. So, the discussion's been done, I think you got packet that we sent off. And I know we've had multiple discussions and from the board side of things, we don't feel that there's any other discussion and moving forward, it's, not that we can't get something done, but we need to, if either way, new building, no building, we need to have a plan in place for, the vendors that are using that building currently. So I guess what I've done is come to you guys, giving you the information, and I've been told all the information's in front of you. We're looking two things. We're asking for an increase in our budget from 25 to 50,000. That is on there, and we are willing to say, hey, look, we know budgets are tight. We could go back to the $25,000 a year to be able to help fund the building. The building, and I know, I listened to the meeting after I left the other night or the other day. And there was some discussion about what we're actually looking for. I'm not looking for a budget from you guys necessarily. It's a dollar amount that you're willing to help out with. What we would do is, in our mind, if it works for the county or what's best for the county, is we turn our bills in. So the concrete bill comes in, we turn it into the Grant County, and we do that through the whole process. Now, up to that $500,000 or the dollar amount that you guys say, hey, we can afford this right now. As far as Grant County, this is what the dollar amount we're looking, you can get. Then we have to go and figure out how to build the building or downsize the building or get this thing done. That's our job. So I guess that's what we're looking for. I know there was discussion about a budget and it's terminology in my world. I don't do this well. Just present what I have. We've talked about some different budget things and cuts, and I've talked to quite a few people. And I hope they've reached out to you guys with their concerns. Some are, and some, the people that are for it, I hope they reached out to in support of the building. Because it's been very positive to the board and to us of the necessity of this building. So I guess today, I'm hoping we could make that dollar amount or yay or nay, just so that the board can move forward with a plan for next year. Not to say we don't move, just, we're looking to move on, I guess, and get things done. We've discussed it for a couple months now, so if there's any other questions I can answer, I would love to be a part of it.
So Scott, you're talking about moving back to that 25,000 then, for sure.
If we would go back, that would be our proposal and our negotiation. Is we would say, all right, we'll go back to the 25,000. That gives the county $25,000 to put back to the reserves,
right?
Instead of pulling that all out. The reason we're keeping it in there, it's a negotiation portion, right? I mean, we would need to fund this fair and upgrade buildings and do the things that we're gonna do with that money. If there is no building, then we have to think on our feet. We're gonna have to spend more money. We look at a $200,000 budget in the profit loss shows we spend $200,000 a year. There's a little bit of grant money coming in and we're receiving $25,000 from this board. We're fundraising, and we looked at some of the fundraising, 25% roughly of our fundraising is coming from outside the Grant County area. From businesses and people from outside of Grant County. So more than just Grant County is helping support this. Now, when I say fundraising, it's a small group of people. There's 300 people in the room at Egg Bash, right? That's 300 people or couples that are supporting this thing. We're asking for all of Grant County to support the Grant County Fair. That's kind of what I'm asking for here. We've done our best we can with the electrical upgrades and all the money we've spent over the last how many years. I don't have it with me. It's $300 and some thousand we've spent without any increases. So I guess that's where I'm at with. The discussion's been done, and I don't want to come back in next month and just keep coming back and beating a dead horse for you guys and me. There's enough people sitting behind me that want to talk to you too. So I guess that's where I'm asking where things sit with you guys and what it looks like. I know I've had discussions with you guys, but
as these bills come in, you wanna come back and just say, this is the portion of the completion and here we're at, here's what the costs are.
You say, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna give you $500,000 to build your building, up to $500,000. We're gonna start turning them bills into you.
Yep, no,
If
I
it
get
comes
that.
in at $459,000, then that's what the building's gonna cost you.
Right.
We're not gonna take.
You
the
wanna
extra.
come back to the board and give us like your completion on, you know, certain portions of the project, or, I mean, I'm just asking.
Yeah.
Is that something you would entertain, or?
However, that looks, yes.
Okay.
Now, if we're gonna, leave it gravel for a year or things like that, we're probably gonna downsize the building so that we can complete it in a year so that it's done and put it to bed.
Okay.
To go over a 3-year span, cause all of a sudden now next year, there's nothing in the budget for concrete. Now we got a building that's half done. Our board and the committee that met, that's trying to get this thing put together, we just feel that it would be better to downsize the building with the dollar amount versus we don't know what our future holds as well. And you guys are in the same boat. That's why we've had these discussions. So.
So Scott.
Mhm.
Help us out, or me out at least, cause I don't really know the history of basically what the existing pavilion, is that what you call it?
Yep.
What that's been used for and kind of what's taken place in that in the past
During the fair?
or during the whole year.
Okay, sure. In the last 5 years, not a lot, because it's been in such tough shape, we don't feel.
Then let's go since it's been usable.
Okay, back before my time, it was dances, they had weddings, receptions, graduations. Some of the Herman people in the room might be able to
We
help
used
me
to
out.
hold
with
Ag Bash in there, that was where we held our biggest fundraiser. Every year Ag Bash was held in there.
And the building was a lot more user friendly. I mean, they had multiple things up throughout the summer. It was never heated. Now.
We
We're,
used it for community events too, like, Hero Day.
Hero Day was in there.
Hero Day was there, Phil's down there.
and with a structure, you have opportunity. If this structure now has zero opportunity, we don't feel right. I mean, it's coming down. So,
Yeah, I understand. So, okay, so it was used for more than the fair.
sure, yep.
So now, what's your vision for the new building?
Same, it would be available for rent. We've had multiple people reach out already for, hey, we would like to rent the whole building for storage of stuff for the winter. And we would almost have to put it up for bids. There's so many people asking for that. Whether it's RVs, trailers, whatever it might be. So storage would be all winter long. And that, the dollar amounts, the donations that would possibly happen would cash flow it. Now, we'd open it up for graduation, so in Herman, there's the community center, and that's about it. I mean, the 4-H building has been used, but for graduation parties and graduation ceremonies, that sort of thing can happen. Wedding dances, we've been inquired a couple times, and we've had to turn them down, tell them no, because the buildings can't happen. So it would be open for that as well.
So I would guess your insurance premiums are gonna do at least another $2, $3, $4, $5,000 when you add that kind of a dwelling on it.
Yeah, I would assume so.
Okay, but that would offset some of the cost of the rain insurance for a dance, right?
Right.
So, and what kind of a price tag is that? $2, $3, $4,000 for a rain insurance?
Well, a $6,000 band, their rain or shine, so if it rains and they don't play, we're out $6,000 bucks.
Okay.
And the insurance would cover that, but that we're paying, I don't know, it's $1,000 for the bands, I suppose, maybe a little bit more.
2,500 for like a $6,000.
Okay,
Okay,
$2,500.
see, so that's a cost savings right there.
And I know it. When it starts raining, 4 o'clock in the afternoon on a Saturday, the place is a ghost town. The Lions Club suffer, the Legion suffers, every vendor out there, every volunteer organization from around the county is there. They now don't get sales all day, cause they don't come back.
No.
They leave and go home. If it quits raining at 6:30, they're not coming back out. We lose that portion. We've had it happen. If we have a space, which the pavilion suffice that, people would go in the pavilion and eat their corn dog and wait it out because it was gonna be done. But
And take an umbrella with them, so then they can stay out of the rain in there too?
yeah, it was wetter inside the building at some points. Yes. So it's inclement weather. And like I said, it's been a staple. It's a staple of the fairgrounds. One of them.
All it did, take a gust of wind. I mean, look at the walls and this got a little tip to it. It would fold up like playing cards and
Yep.
people would be in there and it'd be on top of them.
They won't be.
We don't want that.
This current building's coming down.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter that way, you know? So,
Is your group? And it includes our group. Looked at. Possibly reaching your desired outcome in phases. And I say that with the idea that Grant County could potentially also do the same thing where rather than taking $500,000 out of our investments, that maybe there's room in the budget in the future in certain areas that we could take a look at funding this thing. Or is it kind of a all or nothing type of concept for you people? I know we did talk about, and I know you have had tents there before.
Mhm.
There's a lot of events that do use tents for shelter.
Mhm.
Maybe where you get concrete put in there and adequate power and that there's a tent used for the first year or two or three and everything goes like this.
so,
What's your thoughts on that?
yep, so back to the beginning of the conversation. We feel that if we started in phases, say we put just the structure up, didn't put concrete, electrical, nothing in. This year, next year, we come back to the board and say, hey, all right, we're gonna put concrete in, and the board says, we don't have anything in the budget this year. And all of a sudden, 5 years down the road, we have a skeleton of a structure that's partially finished. Our idea was more scaled back. If you said, so you say, we'll give you half of it, we'll give you 250,000, we'll scale that building back to make sure we can complete the building with that money. The concern we have with the tents is it's gonna be $5,000, I don't know, one of them big tents is they're very expensive, companies come put them up, but they're also a liability in a windstorm or anything comes up, inclement weather. It's a far cry from the 500,000, but it's also a liability that has to be managed as well. So it's an option, it's absolutely an option, and we've explored a lot of these. What I'm asking for you guys is, if the building's a possibility and a dollar amount, that's what we're looking for. If that's not a possibility, then that would be our Bag Association's job to come up with Plan B, and there's B, C, and D to figure this out. The one thing we keep getting hung up on is the bar, the full bar liquor beer is ran by the fire department stand. They would need a more secure stand than a tent, so we'd have to buy or build some kind of structure for them to be able to secure that alcohol in. Otherwise, the license would be out of compliance, so we're fearful of that. So that's why the need is now, so that we have time to figure out if we have to buy a Dakota shed, or we're gonna have some money invested in this thing either way to try to secure that opportunity, so.
Well, Libby, with that being said, I know how important the fair is. I went there for 31 straight years. And it's important to the families of this county. It's important to the county as a whole to have a safe building for people to be in. And, we all know that storms come up during the fair, the wind blows, and, you gotta have a good structure. So I know the tent would probably, eventually, if we had a tent, it would be rolling down the road one day down there. So with that being said, I do know that there's a big need for this building. And, I think that we should help the fair board out with that. Because it is the Grant County Fair. And like I said before, I heard it when I was campaigning for sheriff in '94, about the courthouse being moved, up from Herman to Elbow Lake. And I heard it from a lot of people that Elbow Lake got the courthouse, Herman got the fair. So it's an important part of this community, and looking down the road, I probably won't be here in 20 years, maybe not, probably not. But the fair is gonna go on, and the courthouse is gonna be running, so I'm gonna make a motion that, we approved the funding for this Grand County Fair Pavilion. Up to $500,000 and take that money out of our reserves. And pay, the county will pay as things are built down there. So, you know, in phases.
I know we don't have a second yet, but can we hold off on how it's gonna be paid on your motion? Cause let's get weigh in from the auditor as far as,
I talked to Chad.
oh, you did talk to him already
He said
about
he said it was no problem.
if they just turn the bills in?
Right.
Okay.
Cause that was my concern. I said with our state auditors, he said, no, that's not a problem. And he says, as we sit, the money is in the reserves there. But, you know, my thoughts are that, say, the first phase is the concrete, what, 180,000 maybe, I don't know what it is. But then the next phase won't be till next year, and of course, I want the county to be able to get the insurance or the interest off of the other 300,000. As long as we can hold on, you know.
I'll
So,
second his motion, but this is a post frame building, correct? So you're gonna put it up and then pour it inside.
Correct.
So the building is first.
Yep, pole,
And then the plan for the plumbing and everything that you're gonna do and, you know, get a licensed plumber to submit a plan and.
that's correct.
Correct?
That's correct.
so,
So
okay,
you do have a second, Mr. Chair.
and then, yeah, okay, so we can discuss after
I
that.
know, I just wanna make sure I'm getting this correctly. Your motion is to approve funding for the Grand County Fair to build a new building up to 500,000. Funding will be provided as work gets completed.
And money taken out of the reserve.
And my second reflects that as well.
And if Chad wants to do something different, I mean, we're open to whatever. We just thought that maybe be easier. You guys hang on to the money as long as possible.
Yeah.
No, well, that was my thought, and right away.
Do we have to submit like our estimates to you then, county funded money? Or how? Is there any stipulation on that?
The way I would read that motion is that you're authorized to spend up to $500,000. It wouldn't, you know, we wouldn't need the estimate on the front end, just need the bill on the back.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, we have, any more discussion? We have a motion and a second.
Before we vote, you and I talked about it, you know where I'm at.
100%. Yep.
Yeah, I'd like to add something. You know, we've heard from Scott and his team, this would be the third meeting about the fair and the importance of the community at large. My concern from this board and for this motion and second, that we haven't really given hardly any discussion to the fiscal piece. That's really not the best process. And for us to arbitrarily agree to take $500,000 out of our reserves without analyzing the effects of the county, it's not a good deal. I would mention, and you probably all could have done the math, but that means we'll also collect about $20,000 less a year of interest at 4%. So it's not just $500,000. That's every year that Grant County will realize less. To not have more input in the building that we're paid for is bad business. I support the fair, but from the financial standpoint of this county, to not look at opportunities and do it in phases and look at possible ways to do it out of budget. It's crazy.
Any more discussion?
Well, just to be clear, you know, you're taking that offset of the interest that's collected. If you go out 5 years, what's this building gonna be, 750,000? So that $20,000 in interest is point is mute there, in my opinion.
Right.
Cause costs go up. There, you know, when did we think as kids growing up, just like you guys on the farm, when you bought a brand new pickup on the farm and it was between $5,000 and $10,000 and now they're $80,000. So the costs are just gonna go up. So you gotta pull the trigger and make it happen in the timing of essence.
Sure. And in hindsight, looking back, and I've been on the fair board 10 years. You can go back 50 years and things that did or did not happen over those periods of time. There was the funding, there wasn't money there, the county didn't have it. I mean, otherwise these buildings would have kept getting upgraded, new roofs, new things on them. It's just the facts of how things gone, and you got 6 volunteers putting on the Grant County Fair on a budget of $200,000, and that's what we're asking for. We know it's a lot of money. We're well aware, we're all taxpayers in the county. However, to keep the Grant County Fair alive and well, it's gonna take some money, it's gonna cost money, and we all understand that, but that's why we're asking for what we're asking. Right? And in that motion, I mean, the budget would go back to 25,000, correct? I mean, that's kind of the ingredients.
Well, that wasn't in the motion, but we haven't set the final.
Right, but I mean, that's something that we can negotiate, so, yes.
I would also add, Mr. Chair, that it is kind of an unsettled time, turning the news on. And I don't think we've forgotten what County Road 10 cost us. And we just overbuilt the law enforcement center. And to not address the financial piece for this county and look at delaying this process so we can do the fiscal piece of this. Wow.
So whose fault was it when you were building the center now? Who was not looking out for that?
I didn't hear what he said.
You overbuilt, right?
You went
You guys
over
were
budget
targeted.
on the law enforcement center, but now you're panicking?
I got something to say, Mr. Chair.
I'm just, I'm all for it.
No, I know, I'm with you. The law enforcement center was not overbuilt. That's all I can say. It was built with
No, it wasn't.
it was not overbuilt. No, it was not. Not in today's modern law enforcement, the things that you need. That thing was underbuilt, probably for 50 years down the road. It was not overbuilt. I can tell you all that. I think it was built in a reasonable manner, but it should have been built 20 years ago for $2.5 million.
I agree 100% for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the deal here. This building here down in Herman, 10 years from now, it'll be a lot more. And, I've seen this in this county and, but we're in pretty good shape now for the next 75 years with building, once we get this one up.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. We're gonna vote. We'll do a roll call vote. Ken,
No.
Bill,
Yes.
Troy,
No.
Dwight,
Yes.
Doyle, yes. Motion passes.
Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate the time.
Thank you guys.
Reed?
Morning, guys. Go ahead.
So I got a couple of deals for you, and they should all be relatively quick. Get you guys back on track. So that first deal is a resolution that since we get money from the state of Minnesota through the Board of Water and Soil Resources, they basically every 10 years come in and say, hey, how have you met the different requirements we have? Are you spending our money appropriately? Are you doing all the minimum standards that they want to see? And the report that was attached with this. What this shows that we made them all. There's only one deal there that they've flagged a couple of times now, and they flagged it when it first got going in the mid-2000s. Then it got flagged again in the mid-2010s, and now they've flagged it a third time. So what it is technically all decisions on wetland applications are supposed to come to you guys. But for the last, how many ever years they've been made at a staff level, but there's never been a motion saying that staff can make those decisions. So this is basically buttoning up if something were to say go to court, go to be ballooned into something really large from a wetland perspective.
Isn't that in our? I thought when we looked at our shoreline ordinance, it lays out what is a staff decision as opposed to what is a conditional use permit.
There's some stuff in shoreline, but with WACA, there's wetlands outside of shoreline, so this.
I
like,
find expanding
covers-
on it, I just don't think if something were to happen from the past, we would give up on.
No, and the piece in there says too that all reviews go towards come to Bowser board, not to you. But technically, that's how it is set up now, because we don't have a local appeal process. Nor do I think that that's a good route to go, just because of when we'd use it, it would be very rare, and we'd end up having the state and all these other folks come help anyways, so. But this is basically just kind of shoring up what they pointed out in that report, saying, hey, there's never been an official motion, resolution to do this, to make all these decisions. What I'm looking for is for you guys to give that resolution so that these decisions are sound and Bowser will be happy, we'll meet all their requirements. That was the only requirement that we were, I don't know, not lacking, but just didn't meet what they were saying. So.
So you need a motion for,
So how I wrote it would be the motion for the board to delegate decision-making authority to the environmental services director or their designee.
I will make that resolution if we have a number for it.
Yep. GDR 2025-1007-1. TNet has that.
I made that motion.
okay, we have a motion, do we get a second?
Second.
Any more discussion?
Yeah, motion and second on what, Mr. Chair? I was out of the room and I
That's
needed to go to the bathroom.
So lack of resolution to delegate staff to make the decisions on wetland applications. Apparently, we don't have one, and when the state did their big review for their professional, it's a big, long acronym, they did a big review, that was the thing they flagged that we don't have. But it says staff to make wetland decisions, because currently they're supposed to come before the board every single time somebody puts in one of those apps. But that's not how it's been treated.
And this is kind of a, you know, a position that Bowser wants us to take, correct?
And, yeah, and
Much like the one watershed, one plan funding for the
Similar-
conservation
similar.
efforts out there.
Yeah.
It's all in the big picture.
yeah, and it's more a formality deal than like a big deal. It only becomes an issue if, say, we get sued or get into this big legal battle, and this would say, okay, that staff made that decision, they have the authority to make that decision, because right now, it don't.
So we're being measured. That's what that whole study looked like. And then every county's doing this clear across the
They
state.
do in batches, because there's so many of them, and it's basically every 10 years, and Pomme de Terres was this year, Board of Sues is next year. And then when they do that big study, they pick out 6 of the partners, or I think 3 counties, how many ever, to do a organizational assessment, which is what they did for us.
So this doesn't get wrapped into tiling on private property,
No.
does it? Okay,
No,
just
that-
make that perfectly clear.
Yep. that's
Right.
I did that stuff.
But I know that's in the wind down there,
Yeah.
and the talk is, that, you know, the possibilities could be,
Yeah.
but
We'll see where
it
that
has
goes.
nothing to do with tiling on private.
Not on this one, though.
Okay. Fair enough.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye. Opposed? Carried.
Okay, the next deal is an update, so we, at this time about last year, you guys approved that whenever the Esri bill would come up, that as long as it was within so much of a percentage, that we could telling you it's been paid. It did go up, but that is because we have a couple increased users at highway, at emergency manager, and at the recorder's office. So we have, that's the only reason there was kind of an increase, is that there was a very nominal increase, wasn't a couple percentage points. And then the other bill is through Pro West, which goes along with Esri. They basically manage all our licenses and do a lot of the technical side of, say, like a GIS technician for us, since we don't have one on staff. So this is more just FYI that both those bills are paid. The second one was less than that 5,000 mark, but it was coming here for this anyway, so. Unless any of you have questions, I'm gonna roll to the next thing. For that one. The next piece is, so we were awarded that county ag inspector grant that I came last month and said, hey, I'm gonna apply for this. We applied for $5,000, but after they did all their number crunching, we were awarded 10,300. So they basically had less applicants than the 87, so for whatever reason, not all of them applied.
So there's like half?
Roughly, yep. You had to there's some pretty bare minimum requirements that we were meeting that some counties, for whatever reasons, have chose not to meet. So we got some more money than we thought. So this is me telling you we got it and then saying, when the contract comes available, can I electronically sign it? Or do you want me to come back before the board and have Doyle come down and do all the.
Whoever's signing it, I think we need to approve that.
That's why I'm coming to you to ask if so I submitted the paperwork for them to start drafting the agreement. But that is between, it could take them a week to 30 days, they said. So it just kind of depends when it comes. This is me just trying to get the approval to have that signed when it comes so that we can then start spending the money. Cause we can't spend nothing until the contract's in place. With the city.
So it doesn't require a board level signature?
It does not.
Then I'd make a motion to allow Reed to sign that agreement.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye. Opposed? Carried.
Okay, and the final deal is in the solid waste world. So I think all of you have seen and heard that we've been kind of doing some updating across that program. The latest one is we've talked about, you drove around even today, you see that there's a select couple intersection, there's some orange bags. That's been dwindling for years and years. And we're talking about going away from doing that because it really presents a whole lot of problems. With either garbage getting hit by the mower, buried by snow, dug by animals. No bags there at all. So currently we have 26 sites that you could dump garbage bags in those specific orange bags. About 5 of them get used, 5 or 6. And they get anywhere from 1 bag a week to maybe a dozen. Just kind of depends, but it's very limited use. And there's no way to know who's using them. They got a kind of an idea just from basically they have picking up service, but it's pretty hard to tell. But those that are using them, the only thing they're paying for are bags. They're not paying any sort of solid waste on their taxes. They're not paying a city. They're not being contracted with Ingebretson. Just bought the bags through a couple of different spots. And it's kind of a leftover deal from back in the day that when they didn't have any service provider who would make the trek out to these places or didn't have service. But now we have a service with Ingebretson who will drive every square inch of the county if they have somebody who wants service. We're kind of looking to go away from the program to kind of sunset it. That has very limited use and that's a whole lot of issues.
That's the solid waste committee's recommendation. I don't remember what we agreed on would be our recommendation for a time, if it was March 1st, July 1st, January 1st.
It was kind of open for interpretation to what you guys thought, because it's not a real, poll either way. Preferably the sooner the better, because we'd like for them to not sell bags anymore. When the bags are gone, just be done with it at the retailers. But if they, I don't know.
You think they're gonna just put garbage bags there versus the orange ones now?
They could, but I think there'll be a deal on us too, where we run it in Facebook, on the website, in the paper. If we do some kind of mailer at all, that could go out too, but I think for the most part, people know not to just throw their garbage out in the ditch. I don't get a lot of calls on that, so.
I would probably say on that committee with Troy that we should probably say January 1st, end of the year, December 31st. And then let the retailers that have bags know if they run out that quit selling.
Yep, and talking to the hauler, it sounds like they start rebuying bags here in this month, usually for the following year. So would basically be say, hey, don't sell any more bags because we don't want them out there anymore.
And you'll be ahead of that
That's
before they order. Okay.
Yeah, because the hauler ordered, the small store they could order was like 10,000 bags. when they took the contract in like 2020. And he's just barely over halfway through now. So, I mean, there's not been a lot of use in 5+ years. So,
I prefer a later end date to it, just so the retailers can sell out what bags they have. We talked to Engelbretson until they know more, not to sell the retailers any more bags.
I have no preference on the date when it ends, it doesn't. I just need to know when we wanna start. Okay, this is when we're done, which means how many ever months before we need to get that message out.
Maybe there's actually two things, right? You're looking for a motion to discontinue the
Yep.
drop big site option. And then a date for that to go into
Yeah,
effect.
that would be.
One thing about the end of the year compared to a later date, more than likely, a lot of these bags are during fair weather season, and which in the winter they might not be, so the amount of use in the winter is minimal. But I would say we should have the date before they start the next, say, camping seasons, next season. Whether that's March 1st or April 1st or whatever. That makes sense, right?
I don't understand the camping reference.
Well, these are probably seasonal sites, in some cases.
It's hard to tell who it is. I think it's probably people who are residents.
What do you do?
Yeah,
Because,
this isn't,
because
this
they're,
isn't a campground.
cause if say they're on a lake
No,
place,
but-
they'd be assessed through their taxes and that's
Like
how it
the
would
one
go.
By Hoff, by Elk Lake, I don't think those people are there in the winter. I don't know, that are using that corner.
Yeah,
I might be mistaken.
that's the hard part with this whole program. There's no way to know who's using it and.
Yeah.
How
So
much,
there's one on, right at 55 and 8 right there.
Yep.
And that's not, and that's just irrelevant.
there's one on 79 and.
So then that
And there's
makes no sense.
one bag there the last couple of months.
My thought is just, I mean, if, let's say that there's no bags left for sale and nobody has any. It's essentially done by February, March anyway.
Pick a date.
When the bags are out, they're done.
Out at the retailers, not out at the hauler.
Yes.
Cause Troy
I would-
has
So let's,
5,000 more.
let's start here. Let's ask Engelbretsons to not sell bags to anyone in the county anymore. So what
Wherever
this store has, they can sell those, but we're not supplying them with any more.
then it'll just run out on its own.
Right, I'll make a motion to do that. So we've now ended the supply.
Second.
Is a motion to discontinue the solid waste drop site option.
Well, no, this motion is just Engelbretsons won't sell bags to anyone in Grant County anymore. So if there's a location that still has them for sale, they can still sell them. Engelbretsons will not resupply them.
And they got some other outlet for those orange bags to go somewhere else, Ingebrigtsen?
They'll use them in-house or around.
Okay,
sounds like.
so that ain't an issue then.
No, when I talked to him about it, he said it is what it is, so what we were too worried about.
Well, that's my second time to, I'll stick with.
Stop selling immediately
Yes.
today.
Right, yep. And when we had that solid waste meeting, that was brought up to not, they said there's places that are probably ready, but we talked about not supplying them until we knew more.
Sure, then the idea being that once the bags are not at those locations, the program will kind of end itself.
Right. My next one's gonna be to end the service on July 1st, but let's do this one first.
That makes sense.
Because I suspect by February, March, nobody will have any bags anyway, so.
Probably right.
Okay, all in favor of the motion to quit selling orange bags immediately, signified by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
So now I will make a motion to discontinue the drop site service effective July 1st of 2026. I'll second that, Mr. Chair.
Okay,
So, just not. if we're gonna have our hauler have to maintain this process at a minimum amount of use till July, and we're gonna discontinue selling bags today, why would we have July?
Because
Why
people.
don't we just end the service?
But we have no way to know how much that the retailers have on hand, and if they still sell them, those people can use them until they're gone, is kind of the idea, I would assume. Right, and then, once there's no more use, they'll be forced to go a different route. And the program will kind of sunset itself. Cause you could end it now, but then if the bags are still at the intersections, we don't just want them sitting there. So they'll still have to get picked up, they'll still have to be taken care of.
And people might have bought a bunch. So if they spent money on them, they'd like to
Yeah,
use them up.
we're trying to accommodate both.
On the retail.
It's an old program that needs to go and be sunset, but we're trying to accommodate them having spent some capital in that.
Use them all. How much a piece are they? $2?
Yeah. If they come in a roll of 10 for not terribly much money, I honestly don't know, I've never bought them.
Okay.
Fairly cheap for that.
It used to be bags in town here
Yeah,
that were like
and I don't,
$1.50 or $2 a piece kind of a thing. They were yellow bags, that's all.
yeah, there's some that you can do that still, if you have more than what your card has, you can buy additional bags.
Okay.
That they know how to build that, so.
Okay.
Okay, we have a motion and a second.
Who was the second? Scott Troy's motion.
All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Grant County Highway Department.
Morning, Matt. Good morning. That's what you asked. So if anybody's asking what I'm giving this to them, you can ask him, right?
Well, I get, two items. One is our budget for 2026 and the other one is our construction projects, 2026. Which we can discuss both because they go hand in hand with each other. I, met with the highway committee, was it last week? We went through the budget line by line and then we also went through the projects that we're looking to do in 2026. Everything was fine as far as our budget goes. There's really no change for the most part in our budget. It's pretty much stays the same as last year. As far as the state aid portion goes of our budget, the levy portion went up, but you guys have already seen that and approved that portion. So, for the next 2 days, I will be heading up to Detroit Lakes for our screening board meeting. And we will be going over what the disbursement looks like for 2026 as far as funding goes. And it looks pretty good. I think we'll meet, we'll approve it, our money in will come in the end of January. Right now, the tentative number that we're looking at for disbursement for next year is $5.25 million. Roughly about a $580,000 increase from last year, so. Pretty good jump for us, so we're sitting pretty good.
The additional sales tax on auto parts, is that where, you're getting this bump?
Well, it's made up of several different items, but that would be one of them.
One of them, yeah, there was like 80% went to 100% of the sales tax on auto parts.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I'd have to dive into the book. It's about 80 pages and it's nothing but spreadsheets of calculations about how they arrive at this number. But that's what the next 2 days from here are going, so.
So it's finally kicking in, because they just changed that legislation a couple years ago.
Yep.
Good.
I guess, so for next year, it looks like about targeting right now about close to $4 million worth of projects. We would do full resurfacing on Highway 20 north of 4, which has been in the plan for quite some time. The Harrison Bridge, and County Road 52 bridge, that's out for advertisements right now. You'll probably see those bids here at first part of February. The Fells Lake Township Bridge, We got the funding letter for that, so that's been approved. Got into the bridge bonding for this cycle, so that'll be moving forward in the spring. Then, our staff have been doing a lot of work on Highway 8, 5, 14. Spending a lot of time patching, getting those roads in better shape, so next year we'd like to also, do a chip seal on those, much like you saw at 78. And try to get another 5 to 10 years out of those roads before we have to go back and do a more significant project, a much more costly project, so. Trying to delay having to work on those roads for right now, because we have other roads that are in worse shape that we'd like to get completed. Now, as far as the list of construction, it might change. I will say we will move forward with these projects if approved. But come late winter, early spring, we'll probably reassess, and there might be another project that we can fit into the schedule and get done next year as well, but I would come back and discuss that with the board at that time, so. If you guys have any specific questions, we're more than happy to answer anything you guys got.
That's 5.88, is that split evenly, construction, maintenance?
60 construction, 40% maintenance. And then inside of that, it's also split again between regular and municipal type work.
I'll touch on what I gave. So Ken called me yesterday and asked what we were gonna be budgeting for next year in our heavy or major equipment stuff. So the stuff in yellow is what we are gonna purchase. The stuff in orange is ideas I'm looking at purchasing. I don't exactly know what we're gonna spend our major equipment balance on yet. I'm still working that out. So. And then I guess. So what we are gonna do for sure is you guys have already approved the road grader. We're gonna do an emulsion trailer for sure. That'll help us speed up our process of patching these roads. And we will be doing a pickup. That is the three things that we are doing for sure. And then I will be piecing in the rest of it here shortly.
So your budget pad shows 550,000.
Yep.
If your wish list is 969.
Yep. Cause I haven't picked out, I just threw the prices in this so you can see what everything costs. Unless you wanna give me some extra. No, it's just the way it adds up, I wanna throw the prices in there so you can see what each thing costs. So I gotta divvy it up how I feel best it's gonna work out for us.
So Pat, your 96 cat loader there, the county's owned that since 96?
Yeah, we got it right after that bad winter.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the blower.
Down the blower, yep.
Yeah.
Just after the bad event, just after the bad event, or maybe during, I wasn't here, so I'm not sure.
How many hours on that loader?
What does it say on here? 5,800 as of the 31st of this year. Beginning of the year, so that's probably 60. I don't know, 62, 6,300 now. But as you can see, that's a large purchase item, so. So yeah, so the things in order, there's things I'm thinking about doing. To fit into the budget, so.
That other loader that's about 6, 7 years old now,
Mhm.
the one that we bought.
Time flies.
Yeah.
Excuse me, go ahead.
That's been a pretty good machine, hasn't it?
Yes.
For you?
Yep.
Yeah. So this, replacement, is that 287, is that the replacement?
That's your.
Trading this one.
That's, yeah, if we trade that one in, yes.
Yeah. Well, this one should be worth a little money, but, hours there. So,
Half-life.
yeah, yeah,
If they can keep them to a dull roar.
yeah.
So we already approved the grader and you said we're gonna buy a pickup. Is that the service truck for 100,000?
No, the pickup is on the very back page, and that is in orange, I screwed up on the coloring on that. That will be Aaron's new pickup.
Oh,
Yep, you see where it's marked orange there, there'll be a second,
50,000.
yep,
Okay. So that's 2026.
yep,
So that is the three things we will be buying for sure.
Yep.
After I printed it all, I realized I put the wrong color through the line, so.
We did not budget for a new coffee maker for you guys here.
Yeah, but we'll try to work that into things for a long bit.
It sounded like that since day one.
We like to know.
That makes coffee and heats the building at the same time, what do we need?
Bring your grease gun next time.
Yeah. no,
It's, we're using the glass pot today, so we don't sit there and listen to it burn, or if you use the metal one, it'll.
Are we
What are
jumping?
you looking for, Mr. Chair, motion to?
I got one question for Matt though. Okay, Matt, can you kind of explain the bridge bonding, like County Road 4, it's in tough shape, we know that, right?
Yep.
But is there 3 bridges there that we're looking at?
Yep.
Before we can redo that road?
Yeah,
And that's why there's been a kind of a.
yeah, County Road
setback.
4 is, MnDOT drives our roads and, surveys them for us. We get the data back, and County Road 4 is one of the worst roads in the county as far as drivability, and it's in tough shape. Along with that, there are 3 box culverts / bridges along that stretch of road. One would be at the crossing of the Pombeterre River. One would be just east of the Interstate 94 there. The state just redid the bridge on the interstate right there. Ours would be just upstream from there. That's another one we gotta replace. And then there's one closer towards the town of Ashby. Kind of, as you're coming in towards the school there's a stream there that box culvert needs to be replaced, and it would meet the size of a bridge. So right now, Houston Engineering, Adam Rood, is designing all 3 of those projects right now. We'll should be able to get them all finished up here and on the shelf this winter. That's the goal. So we can get them on the list for bonding. It is gonna be a bonding year. Supposed to be this year, so hopefully they allocate some more money for the bridge bonding, because all the money that is already spoken for that they did this past session. So the goal is to get those projects completed on the shelf. Once bridge bonding comes in, that'll cover roughly half the cost of those projects. Get those done, then the next year we would come through with a new paving project and redo the entire surface of the road. We just don't wanna dig up those box culverts in a new road and waste. So that's the goal, just the process that we like to do things. I mean, we'll be coming up, the same thing will be happening on, I think, on Casatu. I think sometime in the next few months, I'll be meeting with a consultant to, that bridge there over the Chippewa needs to be replaced. So that's the same type of situation, get somebody on board to,
By where? The schoolhouse, very off road.
Oh, yep.
yep, it's the same vintage as the one on 52. So we would get that all designed and built, and do a paving project after that.
So Matt, so once this bridge bonding goes through, would the road be rebuilt the same year as the bridge goes in, or would the bridge go in and patched and then the road rebuilt?
Well, we could do it in many different ways. Regardless, the stretch from Casat 20 to the interstate will be in 2028, because the feds are gonna give us, I think, $1.8 million to do that stretch. But typically, you can do it any which way you want. I mean, if it was up to me, I would leave them open for a year to let settlement happen and then come through with the paving project. But the public doesn't like that, and it's a maintenance headache, because those quick transitions to gravel need a lot of maintenance. But, typically we'd put them in and then we'd wait 1 year, then come in and do the paving project, because we're really only ripping up about 200 feet of asphalt or 300 feet of asphalt. So it's essentially a patch that would be going through. And on those stretches where we installed the box culvert, we'd probably only mill down 1.5 inches and kind of batch it in when we're doing the rest of the paving. So that would be seamless for that top layer of asphalt. The 2 lifts that would get us up to the top level of asphalt, that doesn't really matter as much, but you'd like the surface one to be continuous so you don't get bumps in there. It's a lot of talking for just asphalt.
County Road 5
Yep,
next year.
2027's goal. But we will do some work on 5. We're planning to do a chip seal there, kind of just north of there. Gotta get that a little bit.
So
better.
then that, when you do that goes from the bottom where the chip seal would stop, we're gonna do that whole.
Yep. This picks up right where the project in Hoffman would end, right there at the campground area.
Actually, I'm kind of amazed at how this chip seal gives you a ride. You know what I mean? It seems like it gets rid of the dips and the doodles and all that stuff, and then.
Yeah, you'll start to feel them though again after.
Again, of course, everything.
2 or 3 years.
But,
start to come
but
back.
actually, it's pretty good for all summer long. I drove 79 and 78. And it's pretty good.
Yep. And staff did a lot of patching on those roads, because if you remember how 8 was,
Yeah.
they spent a lot of time and money getting that to be more drivable, so it'd be nice to get that sealed up and essentially glued together for
Right.
several more years, so.
Sheds and water and moisture.
You go through and patch them, see if there's any more to, like you patched 5, you do that ahead of the next chip seal.
We'll go back through and just make sure there ain't
Make
nothing,
sure there,
bad defects on it, yeah.
yeah,
Come springtime, they'll come through it and, you know,
that,
check
that
cracks.
last stuff really made a difference, that
Yeah.
really helped.
That's our new process of doing it. and
Yeah.
That's the reason we need this emulsion trailer, is that they'll speed up the process a lot.
Yeah.
So we get a lot more done.
And the trailer, the patching trailer, did you use that this year?
We did use that this year, but that's a hand wand,
Right.
you know, where this other one's, have booms on it, and you can just drive with it,
Okay,
so.
quicker.
Or it will have a wand also.
Yeah, so I think the next project you'll see from me will be the bids for the bridge on 52 there. And I'm also working with Apex Engineering Group right now, putting together a proposal from them to do Highway 8 through Norcross right now. So we're working on that. We met with the mayor down there.
It's not bad, is it?
It's not that bad. It's just a chip seal or something would be good to
Oh.
A little bit off the subject, but we were in here earlier, is, I see we are still hiring WSB, are they still chasing County Road 10?
There's little things that happen on the project still that keep popping up, but it's slowly coming to an end. There's not much left of anything to do. Okay.
So you're looking for a motion, Mr. Chair, on a recommendation from the Highway Committee?
Yeah, we need something.
I'll make that motion for all of the projects that was presented in detail in our 2026 construction,
In the budget.
in the budget. And budget.
I'll second that, Mr. Chair.
Motion and a second, any more discussion? All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Didn't quite get you back on schedule.
Don't worry, I'll get you back on track. Good morning.
Morning.
Starting out, I've got 2 contracts with Ellingston for our preventive maintenance for both law enforcement and courthouse. We did get bids from PSM as well, Peterson Sheet Metal. They handle our controls currently, and they came in, I would say, significantly more than, I think these come in at $42.75 for the courthouse and 5508 for the law enforcement center. It was $6,600 a piece for the PSM contract, so bringing you the Ellingston contracts for the recommendation for our preventive maintenance for both buildings. We have a current one for this building with Train. That was just redone for 3 years this last spring. And so this would be with Ellingson for the other two main buildings.
So that's for a year?
That's a year, yeah. These are both 1 year contracts. They didn't do 3 year contracts. They just did 1 year contracts. And we'll have to look at how that goes and if we want to continue that or not going forward. So that would be the first item.
So I see under the item that says, what is this budgeted for? No X3. Is that saying no times 3? So none of it's budgeted? Is that what that says?
I don't believe any of this was, I don't have that information. I was not part of the budgeting process for last year, but I don't know that there was contracts for those two buildings budgeted for this year, this next year. I don't know that. I don't think there has been anything for the courthouse, previous to this.
We haven't had a service.
No, that was, one of the priorities when Maya took over facility maintenance is to look at all the vendors that are being used and try to develop a schedule. So, yeah.
So, and I can't.
Maintenance happening, whether we have a contract to do.
No,
Right,
no, I understand.
right, we just don't have this service agreement with them, so again, they come with, I don't know if you call it discounted or a standard rate for any service outside of the preventive maintenance piece. We get a rate from them for those other items, if something breaks, if a heat pump goes down, all those things still have to be addressed, they're not in this contract, but the preventive maintenance, eyes on, all those things happen through this contract. But to your question, I don't know that there was any budgeting for these contracts.
I will make a motion to approve those two contracts.
I'll second it.
Motion and a second. Any more discussion? All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Item number 2 is a boiler contract, so we have boilers in this building and the courthouse. There's not boilers in the law enforcement center. And so they require a licensed boiler inspection, for any occupied days. And so what this is a contract with Wade Nibby to be that licensed person for us until we can obtain a license. In the process, the courthouse has a much smaller, it's a backup unit, so it requires a lesser license, a special boiler's license. This building requires the next step up. You can only get one license per year, so once either Kyle or myself pass the specials test, we have to wait another year in order to be able to take the 2C test for this building. So the contract reflects that until that first test is passed, Wade would be in charge of both buildings. He would have to do a daily inspection for every day it's occupied. So no weekends, no holidays. They're not required for those days, but every day it's occupied. So you could do the math on 5 days a week and take out a few holidays in there. Once a specials is attained, then that person, I say we, Kyle or myself, would be able to take care of the courthouse building on that license. And we would be able to do most daily inspections here. It would require a weekly inspection from Mr. Nibby to basically quality assurance that our special license is doing what they're supposed to do. So then we would go down from basically a daily check from him to a weekly check from him throughout the next year until that second license can be attained. So that's what that contract is for. Basically gets us back in compliance with boiler inspections.
And the level of, the second class, that's all that we're required.
That's all we're required. It all goes on horsepower of the boiler. And so this boiler here calculates out to 60 horsepower. The threshold for the specials is 50 horsepower, of course. So we're just shy. The specials would almost take care of it, but because there's two boilers here and their capacity Anyway, long story longer, these don't even run at full capacity, they both run at only half capacity here. But because the boiler is the capability of running at a 60 horsepower, if they were both ran, we have to have that license for that, so. Yes, so.
Justin, okay, that contract?
And so Justin did look through it, Ken asked a question about liability. Because he does have, there is a clause about workman's compensation in there that he shall not obtain that from us. Also, the licensure of the boiler inspector requires him to carry a certain realm. And he will not be doing any work on any of our equipment. He just is literally an inspection. He'll do a daily inspection. So, he would not necessarily, Justin did not have any issue with the contract as it reads for this purpose. So any issues that would come up with any boilers, he would just make us known of that, and we would have to get the contractor in to do the repairs. So he will not do any repair work on that stuff.
Just keep the level of compliance in
He will
place.
keep the
That's all
compliance
that
in
is
place.
for.
We're gonna pay for his license so that he can put eyes on and make sure that we're in compliance. That's correct.
I'll make a motion to approve that contract.
As a member of the building committee, I'll second it.
Motion and a second, any more discussion? All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
So then the next is the PSM, so Peterson Sheet Metal does the controls. And so in these contracts, this is for the functionality of the machines themselves, the heat pumps, those types of things. It doesn't do anything for the control purposes, so the thermostats, the technology for the online viewing, and those things are all through the Peterson Sheet Metal. And so this next contract would be, this came previous to me. I think they submitted this in May. I did reach out. They said they would honor this. Their rates are going up, but they would honor the 2-year contract here or the 1-year contract, whatever you chose to do. But they would honor those numbers for the next 2 years if we chose to do that. But he did say that their rates are going up, and if we don't take this, it'll be a different rate going forward. So this would be, again, similarly, they come put eyes on, make sure all their functionality of the controls in the both buildings are up to standard, all the parts are working, and then there is a rate difference for the non-contracted things come at, you can see there's a discount on parts, all those things, so again, this was to try to keep everything on a preventive schedule so that we're trying to stay ahead of things and not react, more proactive instead of reactive. That makes sense.
I'll make a motion to approve the PSM contract.
I'll second it. Any more discussion? All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
And then we have the container, so we talked about storage spaces. We're gonna make an attempt to get the assessor's vehicle in the garage down here. There's attachments for the mower and stuff like that that are in there. As we looked at alternative storage locations, there is some storage available in the back of the recycling building. Reed currently uses that for some of his items. We decided that it would be most cost effective for us to get a container. We'll actually use that for Reed's items. Then we would be able to use the garage door and go into the back of the storage shed to do put those attachments in. It would be much easier to access than trying to get in a Connex with a machine to store some attachment pieces. So, in this process, we would purchase the container, but Reed would use it, and then we would repurpose that back of the recycling center.
And so this was just hopefully a less costly and less intrusive, quicker way to get some storage there than trying to add on to the recycling center or something like that, so.
We've been talking about this for a while.
Right.
I thought we had done the math, there was gonna be room down at the building for this vehicle, or did something change or not change, or?
I guess to my knowledge, we were always gonna clean some space out and have a stall available.
But this is, at the recycling, this isn't up here.
But the assessor vehicle is gonna move up here, but these items are gonna go down there to make that room.
Right.
Or is maybe talk of that before our time here, I don't know, but I've never.
If you're talking about sheriff space and stuff like that, I don't know anything about the
I
sheriff.
thought that some of that sheriff space after we built the lawn port, that was gonna change, that didn't.
I don't have that information.
Well, I think that was on the table. Are we buying something without having that discussion, or?
Like,
I don't know what's in there. Bill, you know.
Well, there was talk in the beginning of maybe sharing some of the, you know, the stall in the metal building to the east.
In the middle?
In the middle. And that conversation went by the wayside. So I have to believe that this Conex building where you can put things that don't matter in there, you know, these storage containers and things like that. And we're always struggling with places to put things, right? So, you know, I mean, everything is subject to change, but I guess this is just the first step.
So if it doesn't matter, should we be keeping it?
Well, don't get me wrong.
Well, so I guess the pieces that, like, for instance, what Rita's storing currently is extra garbage containers, those kinds of things that, you know, you don't want to be out and sun faded and all those.
We've got additional things,
Yeah.
cause we've got old stuff for the courthouse, is a
Yep.
marble that is sitting outside, that should be inside some.
Yeah,
I mean,
and that-
we can't get rid of that, cause we have to have it.
Right, so those are some things that sit outside currently, that would be able to be put into these locations. Again, the idea that a lot of Reed stuff would go into the container, cause he doesn't necessarily have to drive up and attach to it with a vehicle. Whereas the things that we're trying to get out of this shed up here, most of those are attachments to a mower, you know, the broom. We got 2 brooms, we got a blower, we got, you know, opposite season, we'll have a mower. All those things would be stored inside in this where it's accessible, so.
Which it sat outside on the northwest corner of that middle building over the winters and summer and stuff like
Potentially,
that.
yeah.
There was a lot, I mean, it's
Before I-
outside and it should be in
Mhm.
some, so you can get at it in the wintertime and just,
Right.
you know, in a timely fashion.
But Bill, just to make sure I understood you right, because just kind of going back to my memory, you're saying that there was discussion about that, but it went by the wayside. So does that mean that
So-
we're spending $4,600 because we didn't finish the discussion?
I guess the
Someone didn't
one,
agree with us, or what?
the only thing I've
There's
heard on that,
politics
Ken,
going or-
is that there is some evidence items that maybe is stored in there, and the chain of custody, all those things dictated that you can't just let anybody go in and out of that shit. That's the only thing I've heard. I haven't dug into that. Again, I don't, that was before me, and so this seemed to be a fairly simple fix, I guess, and I don't know anything more about that.
Well, obviously, we're willing to spend a lot of money, so what's 4,600 more?
I'll make a motion to purchase the storage container from TKI.
We got a motion, we have a second?
I'll second it.
Any more discussion? All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
That one is 4625.
Maya, did you get any prices on any flooring we talked about? I don't see it on here, but we talked about.
I did not yet. Joanne was not able to get up to the courthouse yet, so we have not had that.
Well, just so the board knows, then we're looking at doing some flooring and recorders and license bureau.
Recorders and potentially license bureau. I think they were looking at different desks situation in there, and so that trying to coincide so that we were ready to go. If they do change out desks in there, we would have flooring ready to go in that at the same time. So that was one piece.
The one thing about the storage container, you know, you can be able to do some housekeeping in the basement of the courthouse. And a lot of that stuff could go in that storage container too. So we've struggled with storage for years, and it's time to, you know, probably do a little housekeeping or something like that when you get a chance. I'm not saying right away, but. And then you got some place for it, right?
That's correct. And then might do the additional items now.
So in front of you, there was an additional item. That came up, and then. I don't know what you call it, floor cleaning thing.
We looked at as we talked with our Hilliard rep about the cleaning of the floors in the courthouse and polishing and those resurfacing those items. There's a lot of nooks and crannies in the courthouse, a lot of stairs. And I just asked, what is a good way to do those areas? And so he sent me this, I don't know, do you have the scrubber, the power scrubber? You maybe don't have it. I have the information here. If you'd like to look at it, I can give it to you. Basically, it's like a weed eater, but it's a floor scrubber. So it's got about a 7-inch disc on it. It can be used on stairs. It can be used in the bathroom stalls. It can be used on walls. It can be used in many different locations. It's basically a cordless, handheld scrubber that we would be able to use to get into some of the areas that I don't want to speak out of turn, but probably haven't been addressed in some time. And so, as we looked at it, the question came up, can you rent one? This one is $725. I don't know that I can get a decent rental for the difference of what it would be to rent one and then go buy one. I guess that would be my.
It was just the application.
Yep, for the dollar amount.
Fine, and things like that.
But this one is, again, coming right from our rep that sells us all of our stuff for the flooring and everything else that we get at the courthouse for toiletry paper, all that stuff. And so, he said it's an excellent piece that would be very useful in a lot of those areas. So
Bill did say he would come up and show you how to run it.
I got knee pads too, to
perfect,
even get down there.
perfect. So then if Bill's got knee pads, we don't need this scrubber, but otherwise, if you want to get some work done, this will be very helpful at the courthouse.
I got them in the car, knee pads, a referee shirt, and pom pom.
So Bill, are you gonna scrub the floor or are you gonna make a motion to buy this thing?
So my reason that I came up with this, because my assumption, because the policy states, up to $5,000.
But it was unbudgeted.
But it was unbudgeted, that's right.
So the price isn't why, it's just that it wasn't budgeted, so we wanted to bring it, I said, let's just bring it to the full board. Before you go ahead and purchase it.
Which makes sense, it's the thing to do. Right, so is this something you can get parts for 5, 8, 10 years from now, or is it something that's out there as a standard where they'll backfill service and parts?
I can only give you the information I have about it. I can't foresee the future. But this is the Hilliard company is who is selling this to us. They sell us our floor scrubber machine. They sell us all the attachments for that. They do all those things. So I don't believe Hilliard will, sell us some phony piece, but I can't speak to 10 years from now.
I'm guessing at $725, if it lasts 10 years, we're not gonna worry about fixing it.
If it lasts 5 years, sweet.
There again, like Tina said, it's not so much about the price of it, just I want to make sure that everybody was aware and that we weren't just purchasing a bunch of stuff on.
Mr. Chair, motion to approve the floor scrubber.
Got a motion, we get a second?
Second.
Any more discussion? All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
And then just a couple of items I have for you, just that, I believe in the past, you had already approved a overhang for, at the door of the recycling center for actually where they enter,
The walk-in door.
the walk-in door. They have an issue with snow dropping in front of the door and backing up and causing some issue there. I did get, so the original, I think the dollars were $11.70 for, it was around $1,200 for materials and another $1,100 and some dollars for labor for Prairie Builders to come in and put that on. So the total is $25.62 for that overhang piece. They can't guarantee me that they'll get it done this fall, but I just wanted to make sure everybody's still on board to go forward with that little overhang piece so that I can tell them, yes, if you got a day where two guys can come in and do it. Likely, I think originally they had planned for it to be down at the 8-foot level, right above the door. Much more intrusive. We're gonna push it up to continue the roof line out so that it doesn't have to be cut in. There's not as much flashing that needs to be done. It'll still do the job that needs to be done, and we just don't have to add the extra pieces to it, so. Hopefully it's a quick, easy fix and we keep that door serviceable for a lot longer.
And button up on the bottom so you can.
And then you can go underneath it with the broom and you don't have to worry about hitting it with anything. It'll be up much higher. So anyway, I just wanted to make sure that you guys were still aware with that. And while I'm talking about that building, this is another unbudgeted item, but we did look at putting a door opener put in for that garage door on the backside. We want to make sure that, again, nothing's snuck in, or it's $1,600, $1,660 to get a heavy duty door opener and have the electrician come in and wire an outlet and get all the permitting and low voltage and all those things done. So, again, more of a, I guess, I want to make sure that nobody's adamantly opposed to something like that so that we can make that a little bit more accessible. We'd make sure that the sheriff's department gets a remote so they can get into their boat, and we would obviously be able to get in and out with the attachments and whatnot a little easier than what it currently is.
Sheriff's Department's on board with putting in an opener and.
Yes, I could tell you the answer, but I won't, that he gave, but anyway, yes, he is not opposed to that. Apparently he had tried to get one years ago and it didn't go through. So again, I don't know if there's a aversion to door openers or if it was just not presented. I'm just coming to ask. I'm gonna ask till you guys tell me no, and then I'll ask a couple more times.
So we've addressed the water issues to make sure that the door don't freeze down. Before, it get a lot of times, I mean, there was a lot of water that used to go in there and they got we put blacktop and an apron and the whole yard, so.
I can't
If the door
speak to
freezes
that
down,
part.
you know what's gonna happen,
Yep,
cause it ain't heating the building in there,
right, yep,
So if somebody's gonna go kick it before they hit the button or they'll rip it loose.
right. And that'll be a piece we'll have to address as we come to it. I can't tell you if that's the case or not. If it's not warm in there, it shouldn't melt and it shouldn't freeze, so I don't know how that works, but I don't know if that's been an issue in the past or not.
Well, the water used to run right into the building there until we addressed the drainage,
Okay,
big time.
we'll have to keep an eye on that.
What do you wanna do about the opener? I'll make a motion to proceed with the garage door opener. You have the amount, Tina, the 16?
60.
That's what I have.
I'll second it. Any more discussion? All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
I know you're way past, but a quick update, we did get the final cameras installed. They are all up and working correctly. So we had one up on the 3rd floor. You can see the elevator and the rotunda area. And also we have one now in the front window, the arched window, that you can see out. You can see the front sidewalk all the way
to the highway. And you can also see back across the steps and over, basically, there isn't a lot of voided space anymore in the courthouse, so those last two cameras were installed and are up and running currently, so they should be able to put the button up on that project, so anyway. So you guys have any more questions for me? That's all I got.
I guess I don't.
Thank you. Thank you.
They all say, I guess that was, I didn't address that, they all say just, authorized representative, so I assume as the facilities manager, I can sign those. For all those contracts that we just approved, it doesn't say they require a board signature. So as long as that's okay, I will just
Signed by me.
as that, and we'll go from there. Okay. Anything else you need from me, Tina? Okay.
The temporary cannabis committee met, with Horizon Public Health and started the discussion about temporary cannabis event registrations and how they'll be handled in Grant County. It was confirmed that any possible event, cannabis event, would have to come to the full board for approval. So, Public Health is going to work on a registration form document that would be used on our website. So if anybody is considering coming to Grant County to hold a temporary cannabis event, they would have to fill out that form, and that form would have to come to the full board to be approved or denied. So the temporary committee felt good about that process, but wanted to make sure that the full board was made aware of that as we go forward. And I think as the cannabis ordinance is new, if we go forward with the different things, as the state comes up with things, it'll be periodically something that you might see on the agenda for an update, because we just want to make sure that the full board is aware of the different, nuances or different pieces to having that ordinance in Grant County. The other item that I have with me, it came.
So excuse me for a second, can I back to that, or are you still on cannabis?
Nope.
I think one of the things, and help me out, Dwight, if I'm wrong, is that the committee generally was opposed to this special event, but we can't make a blanket. Every decision, every application gets weighed by the board. But that we were generally in favor of it. Is that right, Dwight?
Yep. And then on each application, we can make the decision, yes or no.
That's all I have.
And it all hinges on location, right?
Yep.
Distances from schools and distances from churches and all that stuff. Okay, so that's still in the,
Yep, they have
part
to
of the process.
follow the ordinance.
Yeah.
And this is new for everybody, so it's really hard to do a blanket type statement. So this way, the temporary committee felt, better or confident in the fact that any of those types of registrations, that paperwork would come to the full board for approval. And there would be all those check boxes that, we'd have to say that they met all those setbacks and all the other items. And then maybe the application didn't get it any further if it didn't meet those, but if it did, then it would still come to the board, and the board would have the opportunity to either approve or deny. And along with that, every city and every township in Grant County has delegated to Grant County, so nobody has their own ordinance with their own setbacks and rules and things. Everybody is choosing to use the county, so again, I think that consistency will help us too.
Yeah.
The other thing, it just came in the mail, on Monday. I put a NCIT brochure came, there was one for each commissioner. Along with that, NCIT has a voting delegate and alternate for each county. And Grant County's voting delegate is Bill Valley, Commissioner Bill Valley, and alternate is Commissioner Dwight Walbotney. And if this is not going to change for Grant County, there's nothing we have to do. There's a form that we would have to fill out, and the board chair would have to sign, and we would send that.
I don't see any reason to change.
No, I think they.
No, I think it's good.
Ding, 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 didn't the train just come through there?
We're good.
Okay. Whatever.
EFM thing?
No, that was removed.
Just-
They're
no,
gonna come on October 21st. They're just, didn't want to rush it. They're still working on the paperwork and everything, so.
I do have a committee thing.
Well, like, Dora, you need to do your committee report.
Okay, Budget and Finance Committee, Troy and Bill.
Well, we haven't met, so, but we, late, I mean, for the next, whatever, final budget, so I would guess probably next month, Troy, you wanna meet? At some point.
I got a question for, since I don't know the process, but once again, we had unbudgeted items that come forward and we had the Grant County, the 500,000 that we said comes out of reserve. The question is, does that become part of the budget? So if we get extra funds, that necessarily doesn't all have to, does it reflect our levy at 2.9 some percent max? But now our budget actually is gonna show we're overspending. Is it gonna show at the end of the year that what we've approved? Yes or no?
Well, it'll have to be recorded somewhere, right?
Well,
I don't
I
know
think
where-
it should be in the budget. I mean, cause you hear people where they say, well, we didn't wanna raise our levy, so we're gonna take it out of the reserve. We hear in neighboring counties, well, we kinda just did that, and so my point is becomes a point of record, the things that Maya had that are unbudgeted, the $500,000, it's unbudgeted, it should be in the budget, so it's a point of record financially. But I don't know the process.
It's spent from somewhere, right? So. And depending on when. It's spent. It would show up in that year's expenses, so let's say some of it's this year, some of it's next year. Does that mean we're over budget? Well, no, because we talked, was it last meeting or the meeting before, where we have the unspent. We budgeted for these expenses, then we didn't have them. So, will there be a department that's over budget? Probably. Will we be over budget overall for this year? I would suspect no.
No.
Now, next year. You would, because you didn't have that offsetting income. But we know that we had it from the year before where we carried it over. So I can't sit here today and tell you where that would be, where that expense will show up. I get that, but I don't know where that'll be today.
Well, I guess, like, I was thinking, and it'd be no different than these contracts, the one that relates directly to law enforcement when it comes to the, you separated out the cost of the facilities. But that should be added, so in the budget, that $7,000 or whatever becomes part of their expense. No different than the fair. We've budgeted 50,000, or if we're gonna give them 25, that should, $500,000 should be added to that. So the fair's budget should say 525,000 if that's what we're gonna give them.
Well, and it may be that this year they were budgeted 425, and let's say we spend 250.
Yeah.
This year, well, then it's 275,000 is what the expense was.
Right.
Well, you only had, I mean, and I'm perfectly fine with it going into that fair line. But then you had an income for this year of 25,000 and you'd have an expense of 275. I mean, it's gotta show up on that sheet somewhere.
That's what I'm saying, it's gonna show
Well,
up
we
somewhere.
spent the money, it's gotta show up somewhere, it just doesn't magically not be there. It will show up somewhere, I mean, the auditor's not gonna come in and say, oh, well, you spent money, but you don't have a record, but that's fine.
But so, when we approve the final budget, these things are gonna be listed.
Well, their 500,000 is not gonna be listed, cause where are you gonna get that? It'll come out of reserve, I mean.
It'll be listed, so in this, I'll just tell you, like in the schools case, similar public entity, all those things. if you allocate dollars for something, it's gonna go on a line item somewhere. So like you said, if it falls in the fair budget, the fair budget is gonna show the 200 and whatever you say it's spent. You're gonna show that you overall deficit spent, if everything else is exactly on budget and you're over by that much, you're gonna show you deficit spent by that many dollars.
Right.
But it's still gonna come out of a certain place, and if there's money in the reserve, you're just obviously pulling it from there to go into that line item, but it's gonna show up that you deficit spent by.
Right, but we're not gonna put in, like, when we approve the final budgets levy, we're not, let's say we got 250,000 left to spend, we're not gonna put that into the fairs line item and drive them up to 275, because that other 250, we can't increase our levy. So the levy factor is just you've taken all your expenses, and this is what you're short, that's what your levy is. So if you put it in there, now you could, but now it's gonna skew what your levy
Well,
is saying.
Chad, as the auditor who does the budget.
Yeah.
He can explain, if there's something that the board wants or something, we can definitely ask Chad. And it sounds Bill would like to have a meeting in November, so we can
Yes.
work on those details and bring that forward. But
Yes.
obviously, we need to talk to Chad, and I'm not sure if he's still on or not. But, there'll be a budget meeting before the
Sure.
final budget,
Correct.
budget is set.
Or two,
So,
or whatever it
good.
takes.
I'll let you people that know more figure it out.
It'll show up in the audit, but it'll be a deficit spend.
It'll be a deficit spend,
Yeah.
you'll take it out of your
We've done it
reserve,
before.
will go down by that much or whatever you had to use on there. But it'll still show up wherever it came out.
Building committee?
I ain't got nothing. Maya was here for quite a while. We got that covered.
We covered just about everything.
Yeah.
Personnel? Hasn't been a meeting lately,
We got negotiations starting Friday.
coming, yeah. Highway committee?
I think we covered with Matt there,
What's happening there?
what's going on for the future a little bit.
Public safety? Solid waste?
We covered that. Yep.
Strategic planning committee?
We haven't met in months.
Public health? Meeting on Monday, that's all I know for Western Prairie. Had a meeting Friday.
It's not on here, but MRC met yesterday and their priorities are the technology, SSIS updates, mental health services. So that one is keeping people who are having crises out of jail was the gist of that. Keeping them where they, I shouldn't say keeping, having them going where they should be. I mean, Dwight can tell us all about how jail is not for a mental health crisis.
Yep.
That's where they wind up because there's nowhere else to go.
That's what the Public Safety Committee was.
And then solid waste is the last of the three priorities.
How'd Doug and Jerry do yesterday?
Oh. We're being recorded.
This is, and anyway,
Anybody got anything else?
There is a letter in front of each board member that was sent to me, by someone with concerns about the rifle. And rifle versus shotgun and hunting in Grand County, so everybody got a copy of that letter, I said I would pass it along, just for your information.
Did we end up voting on that?
On what?
No, I think, again, what I've seen is some counties are holding public hearings on it just to see what the input from the public is on it, and then they would make a decision. But, that would be the only thing that we would, that would be our first move if we were gonna look at that.
We're
But,
gonna oppose the rifle.
yeah, if you wanted to keep it, well, you just have a public hearing to see what people's thoughts are on rifle versus shotgun. And then from there, the board would make a decision if they wanted to create I suppose it's an ordinance to, restrict it to a slug zone. But then we would be responsible for total enforcement of that, the sheriff would. So,
Any ordinance that we create, we gotta hear it,
yeah,
right?
but,
But that wouldn't be a dumb thing to actually put on the agenda and have a hearing on it.
yeah, public hearing,
Yep,
did that one.
just for feedback. If you guys want to, I mean, that's up to you. Or I think what you do is just let it go through and it's rifled. And we just don't address it. I think that's the protocol.
If we do nothing, it'll go through, and if
Yep.
we wanna restrict it, then we gotta have, ordinance.
And the sheriff's gotta do the enforcement of the ordinance.
When is the effective date of that?
January 1, 2026.
Yep.
So it doesn't pertain this fall.
No,
So I would say anytime next year if we wanted to start working on that.
Well, there may, so, no, we gotta, if there is a desire to change it,
Right.
we need to check, because the DNR may list it in their little hunting brochure regulation. At which point you may have to decide by the end of this year if you're gonna make it. So I don't know that there is, but there may be.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of it. And I don't know if you change part of the county, if you have to change the whole county. That's my biggest, is we've got north of the interstate is already rifle. And if you had to make the whole county now, I'm just not a fan of it.
Not a fan of changing it or going to rifle?
I'm not a fan of being rifle. Where I live in the river bottom is not. I'm not a fan of having rifle use.
And that, I'd like to have it come before this board, because I'm not a fan of it either, and if someone gets killed because of rifle, I want to be on record voting, you know,
Yeah.
whenever it happens, Mr. Chair.
so you know, the sheriff's gotta do the enforcement, he's gotta run out and get guns.
That is not even an issue. The point is that we all know what a rifle can do. And we all know what a slug can do. And there's a lot more people hunting with bows. Well, if you can shoot a deer at 30 yards, I think you can shoot him at 100 with a shotgun. Well, not 250 or 300. That's just canon.
Well, then, if we think we should do that, then we should have a public hearing, see what the public thinks. I suppose we could do it without a public hearing too, but.
We got all winter to decide, right?
Well, although we should.
So we'll just make it work, so supersedes.
What Troy was saying, so I don't know. We should have Tina poke around a little bit with DNR and see if we were gonna do something, what would the process be, or.
But you see, what a hang up with, if you gotta put the whole county back in slug zone, then there's gonna be some kickback where it is rifle zone up there.
Yeah, well, that would be if we could,
Can we just leave it the way it is?
that's what I was wondering, that would be.
Well, maybe with an ordinance, I bet we can, but,
Well, if we get a chance, if we can decide, why can't we decide to do that?
I wouldn't disagree with that, that's for sure.
Would you like to be an agenda item for the next board meeting with some more information?
Sure.
Yeah.
Wouldn't hurt. Oh, I think it's good to look into it.
We're gonna let them use cannons too,
So is there a size limit on the cannon?
doesn't matter,
Doesn't matter. Whatever you can get enough powder for it.
yeah,
Grenades. So I can hunt deer in Becker County from here.
I guess.
You could
You
put
don't have
great
that
shot.
much gunpowder.
Anybody else got anything else?
They'll deliver.
Nothing productive.
Use a grape shot and shoot the whole herd with one shot.
Meeting adjourned at 11:15.